where we are going to talk about what works best. Is it positive reinforcement or is it negative reinforcement? Because I get this question all the time from riders saying they only want to use positive reinforcement because that's a whole lot better for the horse. But I think the problem with this is that when someone says that I only want to use positive reinforcement, they might not be aware that they are, in most cases, already using negative reinforcement without even knowing it. And I think this comes from like a basic misconception of what positive reinforcement is and what negative reinforcement is. Because positive is then often associated with something nice and something positive. And then negative reinforcement is then associated with something negative and with punishment. So to understand like the difference between positive and negative reinforcement, we need to understand the different methods and how they work. Yes, so if you only want to use positive reinforcement with your horse, you only want to do what is called reward-based horse training. And to do that, you basically first need to teach your horse what the reward is. Because if you have a wild horse that's only been eating grass, that horse may not know what treats are. And then you need to basically teach the horse how positive reinforcement works. And if you only want to use it, you basically would probably not lead your horse with a lead rope or any kind of pressure. You would only, reward the good behavior and ignore any unwanted behavior in a way without doing anything about it. And I think this way of training horses is quite rare because at some point we need to lead our horse from one place to the other. And once we have attached the lead rope to the halter and we use the lead rope to actually lead the horse, there is going to be an element of negative reinforcement, which isn't necessarily punishment. But negative reinforcement is to take something away to reinforce. So that, let's say you were going to lead your horse. Then you pick up on the lead rope, and when the horse goes forwards, there's a slack, right? So the negative reinforcement is basically the release. The reward is the release. So you pick up on the lead rope, it gets tight, your horse steps forwards and gets a reward in the form of a release. If you do the same with positive reinforcement, you don't need the lead rope. You basically don't have a lead rope, but you might have a target. So that you have put a target here, and when the horse goes towards the target, you reward. Actively rewarding. Yes. Versus leading the horse the regular way, you are not actively rewarding the horse. The release is the reward. So I hope this makes sense, because I think if we don't understand negative reinforcement and how it works, we can easily end up in a lot of trouble with the horse. For instance, with the leading. And I see this more and more, by the way. So basically, when we are teaching a horse to lead, a foal to lead, or whatever, that foal doesn't know how to respond to the lead rope getting tight, right? So you might tighten the lead rope and the horse might try to go backwards or just stand still. And the key here, since you are using negative reinforcement, you want to wait until the horse steps forwards and gets a release. But what very often happens is that someone tightens the lead rope and the horse doesn't want to go forwards, and then they give the release when the horse is standing still or not going forwards. So you have basically just taught your horse that putting pressure on the lead rope doesn't really mean anything because you haven't reinforced the right answer. Yes, which in many ways makes positive reinforcement quite a bit easier, because if you do the same with the positive reinforcement and you only want your horse to go to the target, you will notice when the horse goes to the target and you will give the reward. But negative reinforcement, we can reinforce negatively without knowing it. And every time we do that, we are actually teaching the horse a bad lesson. Yes, so back to the leading, which is very, very simple, but more and more horses are now not necessarily knowing how to lead and how to respond to pressure in the lead rope. So if you pick up on the lead rope to teach your horse to go forwards, you need to make sure the release happens when the horse steps forwards, which seems to be quite complicated. Because what often happens is that people pick up on the lead rope and the horse is just standing there, and then they give a release to the horse, go back to the horse and try again. Or they might then release on the lead rope and then ask someone to help them get the horse forwards. But either of these scenarios, starting over and trying again or getting someone to go behind the horse, is not going to teach the horse to move off of pressure in the lead rope and step forwards, because the horse learns from the release. They don't learn from the pressure. If that makes sense. Yes. So I think that's maybe the most common pitfall with the negative reinforcement, is that horses, they don't learn from the pressure, they actually learn from the release of the pressure. And we as humans, we are not as conscious about where the release happens as the horse is. So it's basically the same with the rein aid. If we pick up on the rein and we want the horse to become soft, we release when the horse is soft and responding with softness to the rein aid. But if the horse goes against the rein and puts the head up in the air and we release the rein, we just taught the horse that, okay, me picking up the rein means put your nose in there and go against the pressure. And if we do that 3 times, that's what's going to happen when we pick up on the rein. Or with the leg aid. We give leg aid to the horse and we want the horse to go forwards. But if the horse goes backwards and we then stop giving leg aid, we have just taught the horse that leg aid means go backwards. So every time we release, it's like hitting the save button on the horse. So every time we release, that horse saves that information as this is the right thing to do. As with positive reinforcement, every time we then click and reward, we hit the save and enter information button on the horse, and the horse knows that he or she has done the right thing, which I think might be easier for us. But for a horse, they have to kind of learn how positive reinforcement works, and it's not something that comes natural to them, as negative reinforcement is already installed in the horse. They already learn from the release. We don't have to teach them that the release means good job. They already know it. Yeah. Because when horses communicate with each other, they move each other around, and they obviously release when they have achieved what they want the other horse to do. Yes. So you've probably seen horses maybe fighting over hay or something. The horse who wants the hay is not going to give up until the other horse goes away and stays away. And that's when the horse, releases and says, okay, I want you over there so that I can eat this hay here. Right. Okay. And I think with positive reinforcement, one of the common pitfalls that we can go into is that we are not necessarily just rewarding the horse's behavior, we are also rewarding their emotion. So again, if we have some kind of target training or something with the horse, we want the horse to do something to get the reward. If the horse is doing the behavior we want but feeling anxious or being pushy, we are also going to reward the anxiety and the pushiness. And I think that's how many people get into problem with the positive reinforcement, is that the horse becomes more and more pushy because, they are keen to get the treats. There are, however, methods that you can use to solve this, and make sure to not give your horse a treat when your horse is pushing for treats. But the other part is that if the horse is holding on to anxiety while doing the behavior you want the horse to do, you're also going to get more anxiety. So just be careful. You get what you reward. Yep. And that's not always just the behavior. It's just as much the horse's emotion. Yes, so let me know in the comments below, what do you prefer? Do you prefer positive reinforcement, or do you prefer negative reinforcement? Or do you do maybe a little bit of both? And me personally, I do a little bit of both, but I mostly use negative reinforcement. Yes, because I think I would probably not trust a horse who doesn't know how to respond to pressure either in the lead rope or the rein, and only relied on treats. Then suddenly the day will come where something more exciting than the treats happen. And if the horse doesn't know how to respond to the rein aid with softness and the lead rope by stepping forwards off of pressure, that horse, would be very unreliable in a way. Yes. So I think there are some basic things that all horses need to learn with the negative reinforcement to be able to function and to be able to lead properly and to be able to be ridden in a safe way. But positive reinforcement is a very powerful tool, and it's also very motivating for horses. So especially horses who are shut down, or it can also be used for horses who carry a lot of anxiety. If we then can reward the relaxation and stuff like that, we can, come further with the horse than if we only use negative reinforcement. So we can use a little bit of both. But I wouldn't say that the horse is properly trained unless it knows how to step up forwards off of pressure in the lead rope and knows how to become soft of us picking up the rein. I would say that, okay, if we need a carrot to do that, then I would not consider that horse, knowing the basic of handling. Yes, so let me know in the comments what you think. And what I often see in terms of the positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement is that the grass, when we are out riding and leading our horse, can definitely throw in some curveballs when we are training the horse. Because guess what? If we are leading the horse down the road and the horse pulls against the lead rope and gets grass for doing it, the grass has actually then reinforced the horse positively for going against pressure. And this can be a big challenge when we are out riding and out leading the horse, because what often happens is that when we try to use more pressure on the horse to prevent them from grazing, which makes the grass even more tempting. And then maybe the horse even becomes stronger and then manages to snatch even more grass and gets then both a release and a reward for doing it. And I have found a method that works wonders to get rid of this, so that you can lead your horse on a loose lead rope, or you can ride your horse on a loose rein through the grass without the horse snatching for grass. And if you want to learn how to do that, And in the same way, learn a lot about how negative reinforcement actually works. Yes. Then comment yes below, and I will send you the link to the free training that teaches your horse not to graze when ridden and led, even on a loose rein, which I think is some of the most valuable things we can teach a horse, so that we don't accidentally teach them to go against the rein or go against our leg aid or whatever, by them getting a reward for doing so in the form of a mouthful of grass. But it doesn't mean that I never graze my horses. I can use the grazing as a positive reinforcement, especially in places where my horse is scared or something. I can use the grazing to calm them down. But then obviously I give a grazing signal so that the horse doesn't have to guess when it's okay to graze and when to not graze. So comment yes below, and I will send you the link to the free training. And thank you so much for joining this evening, and I hope this helps. And see you next time, and bye for now.